customer success is really foundational to any company. And you're talking a lot to high tech, high growth CEOs and founders, and often people in venture capital talk about that a new solution has to be 10x better than the existing solution for it to be really fundable. It's not enough that it's 50% better or even 100% better. It needs to be like an order of magnitude better. And that's kind of why I see customer success and how we think about it, that we challenge ourselves to develop a solution that's not just 40% better than the existing alternative, but something that really drastically changes the value creation for a customer. And that's how we think about customer success.
Welcome to Grow Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is Gene Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow?
Today we look at the power of customer success and how that connects people together and how it drives people within the culture and actually drives the company forward. Today's special guest is the co-founder and CEO of Gembah. They are a new products marketplace, if you will. And we talk with Henrik Johansson about what does it take to really create a culture where people are focused on customer success, the frameworks behind that, the tools he uses, and the kind of the rituals he has across his company, as they have proven that having customer success actually creates company success. Being 481 on the Inc. list in 2023 really is impressive growth that they've been able to create. And they did this on 18 employees or so as they grew. That's where they are now. But our conversation about customer success is unique and powerful. What I like most about it is really talking about some of the details of the tools he uses to track customer success and how he gets people to align together on the success of the people that they choose to work with. All that being said, today is about your growth, your leadership, your company growth. My name is Gene Hammett. I'm an executive coach. We do leadership development, turning managers into leaders. And one of the tools we use inside of that is a way to measure leadership. A lot of people get confused when you say measuring leadership because it's not as easy as sales and other aspects of the company, but we have codified measuring leadership in the leadership effectiveness evaluation. There's 7 dials to it. It allows you to see where you are, allows you to really prioritize what's next. And I'm happy to walk you through that. It's a personalized, customized experience. So I can't just like send it to you and you just do it yourself. I walk you through it, and it's absolutely free. If you're listening to this podcast, just go to genehammett.com and schedule your call today. Mention that you found this conversation on the podcast, and it is absolutely free for you. It's the Leadership Effectiveness Evaluation, my gift to you for listening in here. And it will measure where you are and where you're going as an organization in terms of leadership. Now, here's the interview with Henrik. Henrik, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Jen?
We are great over here. We're going to have a great conversation about customer success. I think a lot of companies aren't willing to do the work and the hard things that measure customer success. So I'm looking forward to that conversation. Tell us about your company, Gembah.
Yes, Gembah is the world's first marketplace for future consumer products or new consumer products. If you ask 100 product entrepreneurs where to go to buy existing products, probably 99 or 100 will say, you go to Alibaba, go find a factory that can make your stuff. But if you ask people, where do you go to create new things? You probably get 99 different answers. So there really isn't a place for people to go that have ideas, that want to create new things that don't exist yet. And that's why we created Gembah.
Well, when you think about this marketplace of future products, I looked at some of the stuff on your website. There's a lot of technology products. Where do you see this going over the next 3 years for yourself?
Well, we're focused on a set of core categories of excellence that we see where most consumer products are. Baby and toys and pet products are really hot categories right now. But then we're also in the broader categories of home and kitchen and sports and outdoors. So I think products are centered around certain activities or stages of life that help facilitate interaction, or either make your space where you are more positive or better, or it helps you get outdoors. So it's not sort of that indoor negative consumption, but I think it's cool new products. And we see a lot of technology that's getting incorporated in either kitchen accessories, or the products are smart or Bluetooth enabled in some way and share information. So I think that's going to continue to be hot categories going forward.
Fascinating. I've really thought about it. I'm an engineer by education, not by trade. And we were asked to engineer new products as part of some projects in school.
Yeah.
And one of my claim to fame is, I put a product up there, and I think I got to be on the project because he thought, okay, it wasn't fully baked out, and I wasn't, intending to bring it to market, but I saw my exact product in the market store, like of Home Depot, a few years later, and I was like, okay, I was on the right track with that. But I
mean, that's also why time to market is so critical, right? Because we're all getting the same kind of stimulus, we're seeing the same thing. So if you're coming up with a good idea, odds are someone else is probably thinking about something similar. So that's also what we help to do. We drastically lower the time, cost, and risk of bringing new products to market by really closing the gap between ideation, research, design, and sourcing. So that rather than traditionally an entrepreneur has to go through all those steps one by one, and it takes a lot of time and it costs a lot of money. And we try to collapse all that. Say, hey, if you're looking for new pet products, if you have a pet brand, or you have a baby brand, or an outdoors brand, these are products that the data is telling us the consumer are going to want in 2024, right? So we're not just sitting inventing a bunch of stuff. We're using AI and sophisticated algorithm to sift through e-commerce data, ratings, and reviews to identify what are people liking and not liking about top selling products, and then we pull out those features or parameters that then help us design these new products. So taking something that used to be very costly, you had to hire an agency to do, and really using technology to make innovation more accessible to more people.
Henrik, I could talk to you all day long about products because I really am fascinated with innovation and bringing a product to market. But we really came here to talk about, what makes your company grow so fast. And our research in you and really our team takes time to really understand a company before we put you on the show. You talked about customer success. How far do you take measuring customer success?
Yeah, I mean, I think taking two steps back, I think customer success is really foundational to any company. And you're talking a lot to high tech, high growth CEOs and founders, and often people in venture capital talk about that the new solution has to be 10x better than the existing solution for it to be really fundable. It's not enough that it's 50% better or even 100% better. It needs to be like an order of magnitude better. And that's kind of how I see customer success and how we think about it, that we challenge ourselves to develop a solution that's not just 40% better than an existing alternative, but something that really drastically changes the value creation for a customer. And that's how we think about customer success. Like, it's what is the value we can deliver to the customer and to help them be successful. Sometimes in tech circles, you see customer success almost have been reduced to renewal rates, right? When you interview customer success people, they're like, yeah, my key metric is renewal rates in SaaS companies. And that's a pretty narrow and internal focused customer success definition, right? We look at it more as what is the value we can deliver to our customers? How can we help them be more successful? Not just how much they're renewing next year, even though that's a sort of trailing indicator of are you actually delivering value to the customer. They wouldn't renew unless you did, but I think there are other ways to look at it.
Do you have frameworks or tools that your people use to measure customer success?
Yeah, so I mean, when it comes to that, a lot what you do is CSI, customer feedback, customer satisfaction scores. We track those. We started last year sharing them publicly, so we have a Slack channel where whenever we get a review coming in, that we share that. It's part of our OKRs, our quarterly goals, to look at customer success scores, CSAT, and NPI, Net Promoter Score. So yeah, those are the key metrics that we're looking at.
When you had other companies, did you have the same kind of focus on customer success? Because I know you had another company that you exited out of.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about this before, right? That my last company was successful. We raised venture capital. We grew it to 100 million in revenue. But in the end, we helped customers use promotional products, branded merchandise. So we were a spend management platform for the Fortune 5000, helping them buy products and marketing materials and print at a lower cost. So in those situations, we did quarterly business reviews, and we showed savings to the customers compared to what they would have, been able to buy the product for elsewhere. We had actually patented a solution called group buy that allowed them to buy collected with others, so they can bundle multiple buyers' purchases into reducing costs. So we were able to show savings there. And in some rare cases, when we were working with nonprofits, we were an integral part of their fundraising programs, and their success was measured, in funds raised. And I'd say that was a much more satisfying and worthwhile goal, rather than, showing that you saved a Fortune 500 company $10,000. It's okay, but it's not earth-shattering or super satisfying. But if you could show that you helped the nonprofit raise another $10 million to help cure cancer, that's super exciting. And as I shared with you earlier, Gene, that leaving that company, that was something that was my goal, to have more of sort of that nonprofit successes where you truly feel that you have a mission critical impact in an organization versus you saving a large company a few bucks. They're both customer success, but I choose to spend my time now on things where you really feel that you have an impact on that success, or even success or failure of that business.
Henrik's been talking about impact. My hope is that you will take this small little lesson and really figure out how to tell better stories of impact. If you can tell a story of impact in 3 sentences, and I know that's a challenge because most people's train of thought is more like 20 sentences or 3 pages, if you will, but 3 sentences, and really be able to tell the story of before, after, and why that matters. If you can tell that in 3 sentences, you will be able to have people understand what you're doing and be able to share those stories as needed when the time comes. So get down your stories of impact down to 3 sentences: before, after, and why it matters. Back to Henrik. I'm kind of curious. One of the conversations that comes up in my coaching quite often, and this is, I did a workshop last week with executive leadership team, and they're in a kind of tried and true business of staffing. And I won't get to details because I don't get their permission to do it. But I just said, how well are you at telling the story of your customer success?
Yeah.
And really, what is the story? The first thing people go to might be savings. But then you actually told a better story after that. It's like, well, really, it's the impact we're making. We're able to raise $10 more million. Mm-hmm. Are you able to get the benefit of the customer success and to be able to tell those stories to your people in a more effective way, do you think, than most people?
I'd say so. In our new business in Gembah, where we help startups, entrepreneurs, primarily SMBs, some bigger, $100 million companies too, but most of them are SMBs. This is a mission critical task for them, right? They're about to launch their next product. They're not P&G. They don't have funds, unlimited funds pretty much to develop new things. If they have decided, I'm going to invest in making this product, this is going to be my next $1 million seller, if that journey is not successful, that can be fatal for that business, right? They cannot afford to spend $20,000 on a design or $100,000 on a purchase order for a product that is not successful for them. So that's what's so exciting and challenging and rewarding about what we do at Gembah. These are truly mission critical projects that we help our customers with, and we really can be the difference between success and failure. And in the end, if it's successful, it's very measurable, right? Did this new product they created make it to market, and did it become the type of seller that they hoped it was going to be? So that is very measurable and very rewarding when you're able to help a client go through their entire journey and eventually have a very successful outcome.
So we've been talking about customer success. You measure it. You've got some tools and frameworks. I am very curious. How are you using this to be better leaders as you are engaging your people to, go after that next level of customer success and keep pushing forward for their clients?
Yeah, a great question. Yeah, I think that one of the best thing you can do driving employee engagement and satisfaction and develop them as leaders is really by making sure everybody knows how what the strategy of the company is and how they contribute to the overall success of the company, right? You can certainly, it's important, I think, to do happy hours and culture things and fun things together, because I think that creates a bond. But I think, and you surely know this better than I, coaching a lot of different companies, that ultimately what drives, I think, employee engagement and happiness is that they feel part of the greater mission. They know how their contribution is important for the overall company success. And the tool that we've used and been most successful is, a version of OKRs, objective and key results, that I think Google invented, or at least popularized. So we use something we call the growth playbook. We have 4 different pillars in our organization. Within each pillar, we define a small number of objectives for every quarter, and then break that objective into different key results that is assigned to a certain individual. So I think that really drives engagement and I think leadership, and then and I think ultimately results and employee satisfaction. It's not always easy and it's not always perfect, but just I think the effort of going through that and always trying to make sure everybody knows what they're doing and why. I think that's important.
Now, Henrik just talked about feeling a part of a greater mission. There's nothing better for an employee to be able to think about the work that they do, that they're part of something bigger than just getting a paycheck. Because if they're just getting a paycheck, there might be, 1,000 other choices where they can spend their time and energy. But if they feel like they're a part of something bigger, they're on the mission with you, they are contributing to that, they're growing in their own aspect, they feel a sense of ownership to it. And that's a reminder to you as a leader that you're not just running a company, you're on a mission together. Now, are you really doing that well? Are you telling that story well? My job as an executive coach to make sure people address the blind spots. And many times, this whole aspect of mission is a blind spot for people because they get focused on the work that they do and they don't tell the stories of impact. We've been talking about customer success today. Just a reminder, this is really about you as a leader, leading by example and sharing those stories of impact and making sure people understand that they're part of something more than just themselves. They really are a part of the mission. Back to our interview. There's a lot of different tools out there for measuring how a company is able to hit their objectives. And the OKRs is one of the top ones. In fact, I hear that one probably the most of all of them, because it really helps companies get past 10 million. I think there's some things that you do earlier in the stage of your business, but once you get to 10 million, you got multiple teams that are working on multiple things moving forward. When you guys are using OKRs, are you using this as accountability tools where people are able to see what others are going after and how they can contribute to that as well?
Yeah, full access to all the OKRs are really, I shouldn't say limited, but I think it's just the management team that look at those we look at that on a weekly basis. So we have a weekly management meeting where we look at those and, not necessarily go through all of them at any given time, but we have a framework where people identify which OKR they want to talk about that day. And then we stack rank them to make sure we focus on the most important things. The employees are more, on the monthly basis is communicated to them what the quarterly goals are, reviewed on a monthly basis. And then it's also incorporated in the performance reviews that we do every 6 months.
Well, I appreciate the detail of that. Is there anything that you feel like we haven't touched on as it relates to customer success that really plays a dominant, impact inside of your own company success?
I'd say the other piece is probably values, right? The OKR is very much the what, where I think that the values, the core values are more the how. And I think those are also very important for employees to sort of have the standard, the code of conduct, how we treat each other, how we treat our customers, how we show up every day. I think that's the other side of it. It's the what, it's the OKRs, and then it's the core values, which is more of the how.
I like the way you frame that. Values are one of the probably most common aspects that brought up. I guess across looking at 500 plus interviews with people just like you, it's more than 80% of the interviews have said values are a critical part of who we are. I can see you nodding your head. Is there any specific way at which you guys operationalize or live the values that you feel like plays a really important role in connecting you guys as a team?
Yeah, I mean, I've done it a few times now in different startups, and I learned first how not to do it, I think. And because the first company, I came from more of a bigger company background. I did management consulting. I worked for Anderson Consulting, and core values were something that you put in a frame on the wall somewhere, and then you never spent any time on, you didn't relate to it really. It was this, almost like the 10 commandments, or that came from above somewhere. And then so I took a similar approach in my first startup, but then it became the same thing. It became a piece of paper sitting in the top drawer of people's desks. So in my last company, Boundless, we took a bit different approach. We basically asked the employees what they thought they were. So we collected a lot, and this was like a couple of years in, so it wasn't at the outset, but and then we put together a committee of people that wanted to be in it, and they helped define the values. Certainly a little bit of guardrails that we put on it, and I sat into a lot of the meetings, but tried hard, and I think was successful in not directing it too much to really make the values a reflection of who we were as an organization and what we did value together. And that turned out really well. I think that as a result, the team embraced it in a whole different way. There were stories, folklore almost, of how did this value come about? Oh yeah, that was Wanza, and we came up with this word. I don't remember it now. It'll come to me later, but it's like it was two different values you come into one and created a unique word that didn't exist anywhere else, and it became this thing that we lived. And then we created a weekly way for people to recognize others and attach that to a core value, so that it kept on being reinforced by the team themselves. So I felt that was a really good way to do it. That worked out really well, and we've used a similar methodology here at Gembah. So it's something that's used, written in common terms that people can relate to, and try to give examples too of what does that mean. So it's not just like a word like integrity or commitment, but we have core values like embrace the fun or smash the barriers, or stuff that people can relate to and kind of get almost a visual representation of what it looks like.
Henrik, I really appreciate you being here, talking to us about customer success, talking about how you guys look at this and how that's translated to your own company success. So appreciate all of that wisdom.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I enjoy being here.
Wow, what a great conversation about customer success. Lots of details about tools and about how he uses OKRs and all of the things that connect people together, because that's really what this is about. It's not just about you making more money. It's about you creating a place where people feel connected. They feel like a part of something that's bigger than themselves. And that is why customer successes matter. My hope is that you will use what is shared today, whether it comes from Henrik or whether I shared it on this, the little commentary that I added in there will help you become the leader that your team deserves. If there's any way I can help you through leadership development or executive coaching, make sure you reach out. As always, lead with courage. See you next time.